Welcome back to the Stebbins Garage YouTube channel. It's been a month since I posted a video and I'm really sorry about that. You can see my car behind me. It's actually done. We spent the last, 4 weeks working on a ton of stuff, trying to get it ready for Rad Revival, which was a show at the end of October. I finished the night before the show and was able to make it there and home without breaking down, so thumbs up for that. In today's video, we're going to be finishing up the exhaust, putting a rear end in it, a bunch of plumbing, a bunch of brakes, a bunch of other stuff that needs to get done that probably isn't really exciting to show you, so I'm going to blast through it. I have like 3 hours of content. I'm going to whittle it down into something manageable. I hope you'll stick around and watch the video and then stay tuned for our finale, which will be the next video that I post. Notice that there's the coolant temp got about 215, 220, so I went ahead and shut it off, pushed it back inside. I reused the thermostat that came out of my 99 Firehawk, and it was good when I pulled it out, but it doesn't appear that it's working. So I'm gonna order another one of those. We'll swap that out. It's not a big deal. The fans were both on. Just the radiator is like super cold, and the radiator hoses are not at all getting warm. So I'm guessing that we've got a stuck thermostat, and rather than chase that, I'll just order one. It's a fairly simple process to swap that out, and we'll go ahead and move on to some other stuff because I got a lot to do. So we're gonna get the rear end out of the 84. It's a disc brake rear end. I know the ratio's wrong, but it's better than the drum with an open diff in here. And we're gonna go ahead and pull that out, swap it over. That way this car will be a roller. We can get the brakes working and I can drive it until I'm able to order a really nice rear end for it or find a 9-bolt that'll get me around for a while. So I think I'm gonna open the door, get that thing out and swap it over. Then we can start running brake lines and all that. So after much struggle trying to get that in by myself, I got the drum breaker in back in my old 84 and a disc breaker in with the wrong ratio in the 92. Like I said, it's just to get it around. I'm not terribly worried about it. Still need to tighten a few things. We'll be ready to put our torque arm on. I've already got the piece for that. And the drive shaft is actually at the shop getting the new yoke put on. So we'll be ready to put that on. And then I need to finish up the brakes, which I don't have yet. Well, actually I have lines. These are some really nice stainless lines. I need to go through and install those. We're gonna need to bleed the brakes. I assume I'm gonna need to do something with these calipers. They've been sitting for a while, but we'll get it moving and hopefully driving soon. We got it running, which is way further than I ever thought I'd get after 40 episodes or whatever I've done on this car. So we're gonna leave it there. There's my torque arm, it's ugly. We're gonna clean it up. Got a couple new parts in. Thought I'd show you real quick. Transmission crossmember. Yeah, we already have one. I think I covered this in one of the videos. It's not gonna work with trying to get a Y pipe under there. I'm not exactly sure what that is for. Maybe it's for the original exhaust, not an LS swap. I don't know. So anyway, the BMR one we're not going to be able to use. And I decided instead of trying to make my own Y pipe, I was going to buy the Hawks 3-inch. So there's a collector in here and then 2 pipes. So let's get these unboxed and look at them. So here's our crossmember. I think this will work great. You can see on this one, it'll go something like this, but there's a recess there and there that will allow the Y pipe to cross whereas the one that I have has a big bar that goes down. So we'll swap that out. I'm going to be putting the brake lines on the car. It's actually right there. The rear brake line needs to go up on top of this anyway, so when we go to pull the old one off, we'll put that on and then swap this out too. Okay, so here we have basically 2 pipes. Those will come from the headers, and I assume that that's one end of the header, and then that is the one for the other header. I'll have to figure out which one goes where, look at pictures from Mike's. They will actually merge into this collector here, and then that collector has a 4-inch to 3-inch reducer, and so this will slide over and something like that, and then we'll make a connection to an intermediate pipe for the rest of the exhaust, whatever we decide to go with there. We may end up welding this. Well, I say me. I may end up welding that. That way we don't have to worry about the pipes coming loose or anything. Mike's had a little bit of issue with the pipes not staying put. They do give you some decent clamps. Shout out to Corey, who sent me these, or actually gave these to me at LS Fest. So we'll use those probably right there on our headers, so we know those joints are not going anywhere. And I think that'll be kind of a best solution there. So we'll be putting this on soon. Right now I've got that piece of flex pipe just to get the car to run, because the Holly does not like having the O2 or the wideband so close to open air. So we have a piece of flex pipe. I don't know if you can see it under there or not. So that's the Hawk swap pipe, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. I don't have time to weld one up. This one looks good enough for the money, so guess we'll find out. So you've probably been saying to yourself, Bill doesn't have an exhaust. What's Bill gonna do for an exhaust? Well, I've been saying the same thing to myself, but I have one. It's kind of ugly. It's off of a 4th gen, and it'll need, some pipes welded and a little bit of cleanup. It's nothing I can't handle. It's not the final form. We just need something to get this car moving. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these pipes up, and maybe we'll put a little bit of spray paint on there, trying to clean up the rest of the pipes. And I've got some hangers on the way from Hawks, so we'll be able to put those on. Okay, well, we went ahead and sprayed that in. I think that looks really good. It's not perfect, but hey, for as little as I paid for it, I'll take it. Next up, I guess we'll get this thing put on. I mentioned when we put my power steering cooler on that we needed to make some more slots here so that the air can flow through. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I still have a bunch of other stuff to do, but this needs to be done at some point. So what we're gonna do is put some tape over here, make a pattern, move it over, trace that pattern with an ice pick, and then cut it out. Went ahead and reinstall our piece. I think that looks nice. Covers most of it. If we need to open it up another one, we will, but I don't want to make it too flimsy. That part there is a little flimsy compared to this. This has a rib across the back, but it'll be all right. So here's what it looks like from the back side. And then there's our cooler. So not quite a direct hit, but that's really what I wanted to do there to mount the pieces. So I think we'll call it good. Okay, got another shipment of parts. Fuse box cover. It's a reproduction part from Hawks, but it'll work. We got these, which are the exhaust hanger bracket things that we need for our exhaust. So I'll need to actually hang the exhaust and figure out exactly where everything needs to go, but it's nice. It's a reproduction part, but it looks good. It comes with the bolts, comes with new rubber. This goes on the driver's side. And then this would normally go like this. I believe we're gonna need to modify whatever exhaust I have to somehow work on that. But we're closer than we have been. So we'll go ahead and hang this stuff on the car and see what it looks like. I just went and looked at my Firehawk to verify which direction this goes, and it goes just like that, which makes perfect sense. All right. Click, click. So we put this rear end in. These are the emergency brake cables that came with it, and they're old and crusty. They probably work, but I got some replacements from Rock Auto. So we're gonna go ahead and just swap those in real quick. That way we don't have any problems with the e-brake. You can see this cable's kind of separated and they're just kind of crusty. They were only about, I don't know, 10 or 15 bucks a piece for each side. So we're gonna go ahead and swap those out. Okay, quick tip, if you're taking something like this off that has a little spring-loaded clamp thing that slides through, grab you a wrench that fits over that. Obviously, you can't do it if this is attached, so I've already detached it. I'm gonna slide the wrench over there, push that in. And then that releases that. And we won't be able to do it on the other side because I can't get the wrench on, but at least for these, should work okay. Bam. There's both of them. So I finally got a new proportioning valve for my brakes since we're switching to a disc brake rear end, and the lines that work on the 92, as you can see, do not line up with, well, they won't, they're made correctly, but they won't line up with either master cylinder. So these are gonna have to be bent. So I'm gonna run those over to a buddy of mine and see if he can use his tubing bender and get those lined up where they'll thread in. This should be the fixed position there, so I think we'll be okay once we get those bent. Just spent a few minutes putting my brake master cylinder on. In one of the clips, I showed you that these lines were not bent to fit with, obviously, the 4th gen from the 92 proportioning valve. So a friend of mine was kind enough to shorten the lines and bend them so that they work. These are stainless, they're hard to work with, and he had all the tools. So thank you, Mike Foley, for doing that. I've started connecting the lines. So this one, I believe, goes to the left front. This one's the right front, and then we've got to put the rear on. So I'm working on that now. I'll obviously need to do some heat wrap or something on there to keep that from having any problems, but that's how they normally would go from the factory, is on the inside, towards the engine side of the steering shaft. That's the Detroit Speed steering shaft. So I still have to put the rear brake line on, and I need some help because it's pretty long, and I've got to pull the transmission cross member at the same time so that we can swap that out for the Hawks one so our exhaust will fit. So we're making progress. I had to disconnect the fuel line here so that it could loop through here. I kind of thought that might be the case, but I kind of like that. It looks nice and clean and tidy. And so anyway, let me know what you think about that. Something else I need to knock off my list is the brakes. There's nothing wrong with them, but we have no pads. The line's not hooked up yet. Nothing's been torqued. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna pull this off. I need to put red Loctite on the bracket and torque that. And then we're gonna put this back on and load this with our pads and our little shim thing and the pins and all that. And I'm gonna do a torque on the rotor piece thingy, whatever it's called. The hat, I guess. There's a bearing in there and we need to preload that bearing. So I'm gonna just work through that. It's not really exciting, but it's stuff that needs to be done before our first drive. So let's go ahead and knock this out. All right, that's all on. I used a rubber mallet to tap that on. I'm not a savage. So this caliper goes on. The instructions from Big Brake Upgrade says 85 foot-pounds. I had a bad experience with too much torque on these aluminum caliper holes. So we're gonna see how it goes, but blue Loctite on these. And I don't know why, but blue Loctite comes in a red container and red Loctite comes in a blue container. Stupidest thing ever. Hopefully I don't one day grab the wrong stuff because I could see me doing that. Let me know if you've done that. Here's our big rotor. For pads, I chose these Power Stop carbon fiber ceramics. They came with all the pads for the front, along with the pins and these anti-rattle spring clip things. Very simple to install. One of the nice things about these brakes is you can change the pads super easy. So let me figure out where I've got to put that stuff, and I'll have to put my glasses on to read that little fine print. Make sure you've got this the right way. You want to grease this up a little bit where it'll touch the pad. It just touches the metal part. Just like that. This hooks in like this, and then that presses the pads and keeps them from rattling. And then this is a little difficult, but basically you push that down. You're gonna run your pin in and it might help to have something to push the pad over. You've got room to push it. So take something and push your pad over a little bit, just like that. This is easier with 2 people, but can certainly be done by 1. All right, and then your pin goes just like that. Then you're gonna work it into the other spot. So push this down, push that through just like that, and then we're gonna drive that just like we did the last one. You need a fairly heavy hammer to get that dropped in. I thought I'd give you a quick update. I've been working on the brakes a little bit, well, a lot. All these lines are connected now. You can see the routing that I had to do with these inline tube stainless brake lines. Luckily they're pretty pliable if you're careful, and they're running up to the proportioning valve. I'll show you that. I was up on a ladder and my wife was down here helping me route everything. We've got the rear line. I still need to finalize fitment there. We'll pull that over with some stainless zip ties, and it runs all the way back here, and it's connected to the rear. I'm not going to replace the one line that I do have that'll fit here because I don't want to mess anything up. So there's our parking brake that we did. There's our line there that tees into here. So we'll be ready to put the torque arm on pretty soon as I get these lines situated. And right now I'm gonna change this cross member because that's preventing me from putting our Y pipe on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna support this. We're gonna loosen our mount, raise this up a little bit, take this cross member off, and then switch over to this one from Hawks, which will give us a lot more clearance for our Y pipe to come through. So let's do that. So here's where we are. I just put the Hawks cross member in. Fitment's really good. Remember we did the riv nut here for the BMR. We won't need that. The only issue that I ran into, and it's not really an issue with the cross member, everything lined up good on here. It kind of is covering where we had the mount for, you know, one of these little AN separators. So all I'm gonna do is just move it back here. We'll just basically tuck it there, and that line needs to be, all I'm gonna do is put one right there, and that'll hold us. I think we'll be good. I could probably stand to put another one somewhere just to keep it tucked in line, but we'll figure that out. And then I'm gonna dangle our clutch line for now because I need to bleed that, and the brakes need to be bled still. But all in all, I'm really happy with that. That'll allow me to go ahead and put my torque arm in once I fix this little, that's not even an issue really. We get to do more riv nuts, and you know I love those. So I've been working away. I got the sway bar installed and some other stuff. I thought I'd go ahead and throw on my torque arm, which I've already coated and everything so that it looked nice. And this is the bushing and the bracket for the torque arm mount. And I ran into a problem, and I've been fooling with this for an hour, and I finally figured out the deal. See how the end of that looks like a 3? See how the end of that looks like an E? That's supposed to go there. Just like, you know, in there. And it actually lines up like that. But there's no way to flip the torque arm mount. Like, you can't flip either of these. And so I went out and looked at my 88 parts car, and I'll be damned if this isn't flipped. Like, this end is it looks, if you're looking at it just like this, it looks like an E. And so it'll fit this. And I have no idea why. I don't actually know what year this torque arm is off of. But I've been sitting here Googling, I've been cursing a bit. And so come to find out, they made a different torque arm. I don't know what the deal is. I'm sure somebody that knows third gens better than me. I thought I knew them pretty well, but yeah, that's frustrating. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this torque arm off. I'm gonna go get under the 88. I'll show you the difference in the torque arms. There is the torque arm from the 88. The top one is what I think came off the 92, but so look at this. They look pretty similar other than the slots, but look at this. What in the world? Why would they do that? I thought I was going insane. So I guess I wasted my time cleaning that one up. So I'm gonna have to clean that one up and put some 415 on it. And then at least I know the bushing will work. So the bushing should go basically just like that, which is what I was expecting. But when you try it on the other one, it's completely the opposite. Freaking General Motors. So, well, at least we solved that issue. I'm so glad I have that parts car. That's the best money I ever spent. Torque arm is installed. This one actually cleaned up pretty nice. It's got a little bit of stuff on it, but for now I'm gonna leave it. So next up is gonna be our drive shaft. I need to still tighten this, but see how that goes in there? Just the right shape. I have no idea. That is the most bizarre thing, but General Motors. So I need to tighten these, all these bolts for the mount. And then I've also got the Y pipe, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and put the drive shaft in. I wanna make sure that that yoke that I got will work. They told me it was great, but we'll see. Mike, we're working on the clutch today. We're gonna go ahead and bleed the TIC master cylinder and get that all hooked up. We've got our bleed line run up here. I've got it taped up just so it doesn't bang onto this. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this cap off. We're gonna put some fluid in it, and then we're gonna bleed at the end of the line for the master before we hook that up to the slave and get that going. And then we'll hook it up, and then we'll use this bleed, this external bleeder to get the rest of the air out. All right, well, we've been working on bleeding the clutch and the brakes for about the last, I don't know, hour, 2 hours. We're gonna go ahead and start the car now. We've got a pretty good pedal. We wanna see if I can get the car to go into first. If it won't go into first, then we'll have to stop the car, readjust the linkage for the TIC master, and then try that again. So I'm gonna put you on a tripod so you can see if the wheels turn. And if the wheels turn, then we know we're at least in the ballpark with our clutch. Battery's dead. Take 2. Yeah. We did it, dude. That's awesome. So that's going to do it for this episode of Stedman's Garage. I still have more to do before we get to finally drive this car. I'm going to show you that in the very next video, and I'm working on the finale, so stay tuned for both of those. I hope to see you around.